Easley has friends that are anti everything. You know that, right?
I'm proud of that. Because I have friends.
That's right. Yeah, he goes and looks for them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Shepherds Without Sheep. We are having so much fun. Sheep were hard. I'm Tim Harlow. I was a senior pastor in Chicagoland at Parkview Christian Church for 33 years. My friend to my left is Michael Easley.
So I pastored about 45 years at different churches around the country, and I'm semi-retired and enjoy hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, he gets the intro. I don't get the intro.
This is my best friend.
You just kind of look at me.
Mike Glenn. He really is in a mood today, isn't he?
He is in a mood today.
My best friend in the world, Mike Glenn.
Who are you? Yeah, I recently stepped aside from senior pastor at Brentwood Baptist Church for 32 years.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
You stepped
aside. Yeah. All right. Sure. Yeah. So our goal is to, take our collective wisdom, as little as that might be, and talk about some things. And I'm hosting today, so I asked a couple of my young friends some questions, my young pastor friends. What would you like to hear from the old gang? And one of them we laughed about a minute ago when I brought it up, but I think it's something we can address, and it's just the technology thing. Obviously, you're looking at three people that can barely set their VCR's timer right, because
what's a VCR?
That's not. I know it's even better that way. We're not tech savvy, but it was kind of funny when I brought it up. I'm like, but we did when we all started. It was cassette tapes. There were no computers, let alone internet. Easley was joking about the overhead. I mean, that's how we did worship back in the day, and inevitably we had one guy that had a missing finger. And he'd get his hand up. I'm not kidding. That's great. He'd get his hand up in there, to change the thing. And
it's Glenn. Like, it's Glenn.
He was my favorite.
It's terrible.
But that, and you don't even know what that is. It was like a light projecting through a blank piece of transparency film that put it up on the screen.
Lenses that threw it on.
Did you ever do it as you taught? Did you write?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that was always, you'd write and had to turn the scroll to get a clean piece of...
Get it on your sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about how we handled technology and its changes and maybe stuff that can work now.
Yeah. I think it's funny that we need to remind all our friends that every time there was technology in the church, there was a crisis. There was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If the first time we plugged up a guitar, oh, gosh.
Drums.
Oh, yeah. That was terrible. The first time that we started passing around cassette tapes, here's one of my favorite preachers and that kind of stuff. All of that was controversial.
Were you early enough when they had 3.5-inch reels?
Oh, yeah.
Before they had cassettes?
Yeah.
Because I used to get sermons that were on 3.5-inch reel to reel. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Be like a whole month of sermons on like
you just couldn't.
Bible Church was one.
Yeah, but so all of this every time we've had, and then the first time you get a desktop computer, the first time you use slides in the service and all of that. The first time
video projector,
the controversy of recorded music. Remember, soloists always used to sing with recorded. They didn't use the musicians and how awful that was that you didn't have Aunt Sue.
Did you have controversy when you projected stuff on screens at the church? Mm-hmm. Did you do IMAG where you magnified you when you're speaking?
Sometimes,
that was a big challenge.
So all then they said, well, then now what about AI and all of that?
Yeah.
It's the same questions.
Yeah.
And the first thing I want to tell my friends is, don't believe the hype. Mm-hmm. I mean, here we are in 2025, and I can remember in the 70s and all when we were promised flying cars and robots were going to be doing everything.
Yeah.
And we were wondering what we were going to do with all our leisure time.
Right. We were going to have so
that
much.
Because you wouldn't be any jobs. Robots would be doing all of that.
Yeah.
And we still don't have a flying car.
No.
People drive
not that we
way,
know.
Though.
Yeah, but so to tell me that AI can preach a sermon and AI can do that, I'm the old guy on the porch. I'm not buying that.
So what about from an ethical standpoint? I guess with technology, I mean, I have a son-in-law that helps me figure out AI and some of this stuff along the way, and I have used AI, and it's amazing. I mean, like I get a sermon done, I feed it to it.
Really?
And I've had, when you're putting the line up on the screen that you want people to remember, I've had several times when AI thought of it, not me. They said it better, he, she, whoever it is, said it better than I ever would. But then you've got the whole, are you just going to let AI write your sermon and I mean, we had the same. We didn't have that, but we had. You could steal somebody else's, and how do you deal with that from a technological standpoint? What do you think?
I've probably seen the John Piper thing he did about maybe a month ago, whenever this is broadcast, where he said, what was it? Write a prayer in the theology of D.A. Carson. What was it? On the holiness of God or something. Yeah. And then he reads it. It was a phenomenal prayer.
Exactly.
And then typical Piper, he goes, "It's not a prayer, it's a machine." And he gets all spun up. I was with one of our very close friends in the music industry. He said, "This is tectonic in the music industry.
Gosh, it is,
because you're not writing a song anymore. You throw some lines and hooks, and AI writes a better song."
I know.
But the thing we lose, and I had an interview on In Context a few weeks ago with someone, and they were talking about, is it long language learning, AI, and there's a third one. And they gave the essays to teachers, and the teachers could pick out the AI every time. They said the vocabulary is great, syntax is great, but there was no feel, there was no emotion.
That's right. Yeah.
And so from a sermon, I mean, I guess it'd be nice to have a better outline, maybe alliterated or something.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But
if Rick Warren's not available,
but we're losing the sweat equity of 15, 20 hours writing a message, and that's when you own it.
Right. Yeah.
And, you've integrated because you've hammered through the theology or word study or, Lord, what am I trying to do to these poor people?
That's right. Well, Paul wrote that he had the ability to preach because he had met Christ. I know what I'm talking about because I've met him. AI will never meet Christ. AI will have all of the words about Jesus, but it will never meet Christ. And because of that, it will always end up playing the right notes but never getting the music. I can sit down at the piano, hit right notes, but it's a long way. It's a long way from music. Yeah.
And your audience can tell if it's coming from your soul or you're reading a piece of paper.
Well, you had mentioned, Tim, that, in prior decades, pastors got in trouble for stealing sermons.
Right. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Not giving attribution,
and which I always thought was dumb, because when I stole a sermon, I just told everybody where I got it.
Yeah.
And I solved it. I mean,
Or like people come up and say, "Hey, I stole your line." Hey, I'm fine. The guy I stole it from, he's going to be hacked.
Well, to me, it was not even stealing so much as just attribution.
Yeah.
Because if you quote somebody, it doesn't make you look bad to say this was a quote from Sinclair Ferguson or whatever, and to say, I found an illustration that I heard from whoever. Yeah. I can't improve on D.A. Carson or whatever.
I think it's more than that. I think attribution makes you look smarter.
You've done homework.
Because you've actually done homework.
Yeah.
And you're not just up there making stuff up. Yeah. I really think that's important.
I think that should free pastors to say, don't be embarrassed or feel like you have to take an outline and tweak it a little bit to make it yours. Yeah. Just say, I found an outline in Constable's notes. It's phenomenal, so I'm going to use that today to walk through this passage. Yeah. People don't diss you for that.
No, they don't know who Constable is. But,
well, there's somebody out there who does.
Yeah.
Somebody on the phone, they're Googling right now.
Yeah, you're right.
So if it comes up, you better be able to say,
you better make sure you got the attribution right.
Right, yeah.
That's very true. All right.
I would use AI. I would be make myself available of every tool.
How would you use AI?
Okay, I got an answer.
Okay.
I got a friend that started a company called Sermon Tech, and they use AI because you know what it was like when you were doing it, and your small groups team and your education people wanted your sermon done a week ahead of time,
right?
And your sermon's never done until you do it. And usually for me, it was the second or third time I did it.
Right.
So Sermon Tech, they can literally put your sermon, they listen to your sermon, and AI spits out the whole small group curriculum for the week.
Exactly right.
Wow.
And 3 or 4 social media posts.
Exactly.
And it's done within 6 minutes.
Yeah. And it can break it down like that.
So Logos Bible software, Faith Bible software, they have an AI now, but it's only within the Logos resource. Mm-hmm. It's not going out to the internet.
Yeah.
It's only using your library.
Yeah. Well, see, this would only use your sermon.
It was using my stuff.
Yeah.
But instead of me, because inevitably I'm going to get down to the last minute, and I'm going to make a tweak or I'm going to change a point that really is more effective at that moment. I don't care how much prep I've done.
No, it's the freedom to engage with your congregation.
And read the room and whatever.
Interesting.
So then you get done with it, then if your team is working on Sunday afternoon to
you're
get the
not
study
printing a bulletin.
questions.
It's going to go electronically.
Right.
It's going to go to your small group leaders.
So AI can do that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Interesting.
AI can do a lot of your research pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you say, bring me what the important
find me the best illustration
on
to close this sermon.
That's exactly right.
Bring people to Christ.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of times it can find that. I would use it, but I would not base my future on it.
Right. No, I mean
because inevitably it's going to disappoint.
It's not going to take away from us getting our own education and
one would hope,
and all of that.
There was a guy. This is a while back who he took his worship team, and they said, "This is the passage. These are the songs. Write us an order of service," and they did it. And then, of course, they had to rehearse. And after he did, he told the church ahead of time, we're doing the whole service AI. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, he did kind of a debrief. And he said, it was good, it was interesting, but it didn't save us any time. And I would not recommend doing it, in lieu of,
push and shove.
Who knows?
Right, yeah.
Before long, we'll just tap our temple 3 times.
Yeah. But to that point, I mean, joking about overheads and video screens, we all embraced it.
Yeah,
every one of it. None of us didn't.
And all of it had controversy, and it didn't make or break anything.
Yeah.
Now there are some stalwarts that they don't live stream. They don't like projecting lyrics. Now they might project the passage.
Yeah.
But even that, I have friends that are anti that because people need to bring their Bibles.
That's right.
And I'm all about that.
Easley has friends that are anti everything. You know that, right?
I'm proud of that. Because I have friends.
That's right. Yeah, he goes and looks for them. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they should bring their Bibles, but
they don't.
But I don't. I bring my phone.
I've been praying about that, Tim.
I'm sorry. I don't know where my Bible is. I do it on a laptop.
And on that
I'm high tech.
It's in a box. It's in a box
somewhere in my garage.
More is going to come soon.
I actually this. I mean, I'll just admit this, but when I'm preaching, I do have a Bible, but because
it holds your notes.
It holds my scriptures.
That's right.
But they're put in larger font.
It holds his phone.
No, they're just scriptures in larger font, so I can actually read them.
You know how
it's all on the same page. Everybody thinks I'm reading the Bible,
and they cut out the pick hammer.
Yeah, right.
He's got an iPhone in his.
That would sell. That's a marketable idea.
Right there.
So, all right. Another question I got was about staff and realizing that some of you are solo pastors. Apply this conversation maybe to your leadership team or whatever. what are some things you wish you would have done differently? What are some things you learned in general dealing with staff? Because a lot of guys I'm talking to and ladies I'm talking to in ministry, that's a big rub. I mean, trying to find the right people. Where do you get them? How do you keep them? What do you limit them to? How do you encourage them?
Okay, let's begin with what we're finding out. The long-term future of the church is going to be less and less full-time.
Absolutely.
It's going to be more and more part-time.
Yeah.
So the question then is, especially if I'm a solo.
Let me interrupt for a second. Is that because of economics or?
Yes, all the streams are coming together.
Okay.
One is economics. Gen Y and Z are generous. They do give. They will give you the shirt off their back for a well in Africa.
Right.
They won't give you 15 cents for the light bulb in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing that we're going to have more part-time people, or should we educate the body to say why you need full-time, or do we not need them?
That I don't know. I would say, if once the body gets to a certain size, you have to have full-time people.
Because we used to work on formulas for so many people, so many staff.
150 people in your
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
But no, so the thing is, how do then we bring on our church members in certain roles that we used to have in staff? And how do you break those up so you don't have one 40-hour job, you've got 10 4-hour jobs?
Yeah.
Because what happens is that in most churches, you're asking for full-time volunteers for no pay.
Right.
Yeah. And people get burned on that pretty quick.
Well, and there's a sense, I think, you go back to, the younger generation and what they want. They also want to make a difference.
Right.
And they'll give you money for a project, but they'll give you 5 hours for something that they believe is important. And they're working from home, so they're not really working a full week anyway. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. 2 son-in-laws. But there's more expendable time and freedom so they can do that. What do you think?
So, well, I mean,
you have somebody that's against that?
Probably. No. I'm thinking more of intentionality, hiring what you need, not what you want.
Well,
and so if it was, if I was starting a church today, my first primary would be a discipler.
Right.
And that discipleship might look different. It might be a discipling of children's ministries or worship leaders or whatever. The last church I was involved with, the gentleman we brought on to do our worship, I commissioned him. I said, I don't want you to bring musicians in to rehearse. I want you to disciple worship leaders. Right. So if he's a bass player or drummer, spend time with them, pour into their life. Don't just check a box. We got planning center. We got everybody in line.
Yeah, we got that.
And I would say today, you're probably going to need a tech person. You're probably going to need someone.
There are going to be some things that you can't do without.
Pro Tools, for Pro Presenter, whatever they're using.
Because social media, you're going to have to have somebody to do social media.
You may have a wonderfully gifted young person that says, "I'll be happy to do that," but you might not. You might have to hire someone out, and it's complicated. I think who you hire, you're putting in front of the congregation to say, "That's the Christian character we want you to be like."
Yeah.
And it can't just be, a friend.
Yeah.
It's got to be someone. And then the harder part of this is evaluating that staff. Do they have clear expectations? And do you have a clear way to evaluate them? And that's where the pastor, maybe he doesn't want to be an HR person.
Yeah, no.
So you're going to have to find someone who can do that for you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all in pretty large churches, and at some point, you're not evaluating staff.
Right. Oh, no.
I had what I called a PLT at one church, pastoral leadership team, and there were 5 of us. I was the only one that was in perpetuity, and then we had an executive pastor, and then I rotated every year a different pastor because we had about 12 full-time pastors. We had about 80 staff, and so we had that PLT, and each of them had a role. So that was sort of the group I was shepherding, if you will. Right. And then, of course, you have elders and deacons and how that works. But I think you need to think long and hard about why you're staffing. Is it just because it's a time constraint or this intentionality? The other thing today is You need children's ministry.
Yeah.
You got to really do well with kids if you want to get parents.
There are a few roles. I've got a friend that I got a friend that's in a small town, and they lost their worship pastor, and there's not anybody in that, it's, I know
it's not Nashville.
It's not Nashville, it's not, hey drummer, it's hard for him. So he had to go, that's a position that they had to hire, and you're going to have to hire full time because you're going to bring somebody in. But I think you're right. I mean, even to the point where, a lot of our solo pastors or a lot of churches are going to be filled. Going back to tent making, which kind of goes to one of the other questions I'm going to get at here in a minute, but that's how it got started, and it is possible, and there are ways to make it happen. Back in the day, that wasn't as easy as it was as it is now.
Are you seeing, and especially you, are you seeing adult education Sunday school kind of going away?
Yes, I'll go into groups.
Yeah,
but can a small group do what an adult ed class could do?
It can.
It can.
But does it need to?
Now, does it, or does it consistently? Probably not.
And does it need to?
Well, if you're going to have membership, for example, if I'm thinking of smaller churches starting out, growing, is that a priority? What do we believe? Why do we believe this? And do I need a person that's small group leaders, hospitality, that's pretty easy to come by.
Yeah.
But a person that can open the doctrinal statement or your statement of faith or membership class and answer those questions that are going to come from new people, that can't just be.
But then again, we go back to the tech conversation, right? I mean, back in the day, we all did Purpose-Driven Life, and all of our small groups watched Rick Warren on a DVD and a flowery Hawaiian shirt teaching stuff that was going along with the program, and that's way easier to do today. The one-on-one conversations, this is what we believe, let's just say, about marriage, and then the side conversations that are going to come from that are probably going to need to go to somebody that's not a small group leader. But I'm not sure I wanted an adult education teacher
program
necessarily having that conversation either. It feels to me like there's got to be a balance, and I think you can use tech. Let me put it this way: you can use tech for information. You can't use tech for
transformation.
For transformation,
for shepherding, pastoring, for one-on-one life.
For the one another. Watching Rick Warren. The thing is that any pastor now with an iPhone,
that's what I'm saying,
can make their own video for their new member class.
Right. Yeah. Then you could literally answer any question and have it on your site.
My concern with the small group, whatever you call them, has been it seems like the biblical theological thing just falls off the cliff.
Yeah.
And you may have a few in your church. I know some of I have friends that teach Sunday school classes at Brentwood Baptist Church, and they're high caliber.
Yeah.
They're qualified people, and I'm glad for that. When we were at church in Virginia, we had some very smart guys that were teaching big classes. And, maybe they're teaching how to study the Bible or the book of Isaiah or minor prophets. And the beauty there is, well, what about, you can interrupt and ask questions. We're in a sermon. It's a one-way didactic method.
Or on a video.
Right. You can't on a video. You can't interrupt or have that. But the challenge of any group is that it always ends up being, if you're not careful, if you don't have a structure to it, then it ends up being a conversation of what happened this past week, football game,
or what does this mean to you?
What does this mean to you? And,
let's read a passage. What's this mean to you, Tim? I don't really care.
It doesn't really matter.
No. My son was 12 years old, and he came home one day, and he said, "I'm not going to Sunday school anymore." I said, "Well, son, you kind of got to have to here." And he said, "No." I said, "Why not?" He said, "They read the passage and look at me and go, 'What do you think?'" He said, "I'm 12.
And I'm not Jesus."
It's frightening.
So he ended up going to an adult Sunday school class with one of these guys going, all right, I know where you need to go.
That's good, though.
So, yeah.
So I don't know how we got there from staff. Well, no, there are certain positions that you're going to need.
You're going to have. And that changes, we laugh about being in Nashville. The fact is, you don't have to have a full-time musician here in Nashville.
Yeah.
But in parts of the country, you're going to have to hire certain positions that may not be, there's a geographic limitation. Yeah. And we've all preached in churches where the best musicians they had wouldn't make it in Middle Tennessee.
No. Right, yeah.
But that's who you have. The Lord
so
gives you.
here in Nashville, you had to spend a lot more time on the discipleship aspect. A lot more emphasis, because anything that stands still long enough here gets a little Jesus veneer painted on it.
Yeah. That's a good word.
And so the discipleship is not as deep as it needs to be.
Right.
Let me turn the heat up. When and why do you remove a staff member?
Quickly and often. Who was the leadership guru that said, when you drive in the parking lot and you see their car in the parking lot, and you have that feeling, that's when you need to fire them. Wow. When you have that feeling that, oh, I'm going to have to deal with this person again. I had to we had to let go some really great people, some of my best friends. Sometimes it's a personality thing. They just, it just didn't work out for them. Sometimes it was a gift mix. I had a children's director that was great up to when we were 700, and then I had to remove her and hire another one that was great till we got to 4,000, and then I had to remove her because she still wanted to do all the hands-on stuff, and find somebody else after that, because you just go through different levels.
Well, yeah. A Piper Cub pilot cannot fly an F-16.
Right, there you go.
An F-16 can fly a Piper Cub.
Yeah,
but he won't like it. But he could fly it.
But when you're a Piper Cub church, you can't afford the F-16 pilot.
Yeah.
So usually that means you've got to make some changes, and that's just about their abilities. That doesn't have anything to do with attitude. As soon as it starts soiling the team, man, it has to be dealt with.
Yeah. Because they will limit the growth of the church to the point where they can control it.
Yeah.
Fred Smith had the time to fire someone is before you hire them. And I think our interview review process has got to be probably more so today than when we were hiring. You got to really do some homework.
Right.
I still go back to a really clear work plan, really clear employer contract. Good. What am I expecting of you? And those capacities. Well, we're going here. You can no longer do that. The other thing I would add is I think a good team leader is going to adjust people. You might hire a person for X and find out, this person would really be better over here, and even write that in the job description. We used to joke at Emmanuel, other duties as assigned.
That was a number. That was a number 9 in our job.
It should be number 1.
And to that, we had a guy on our staff for years, Jim Jenkins. Jim was a prince of a guy. But anytime we needed to start something and didn't know how to do it,
you went to him.
It went to him. And we would tell him, go figure it out, come back.
I love it.
What a great guy.
And so
That's off to you, Jim.
There was nothing about Jim that made him a good singles minister.
Yeah.
We got to figure out singles. Okay. So he became singles minister, went all over the nation, talked to everybody, came back and said, here's what it looks like. Here's who you need to hire.
And what's that about? It's about attitude.
Right?
It's about attitude.
Yeah, and so we fired him from that.
Yeah, right.
So, all right, now I got to have stewardship. I got to figure out something. All right, he'd go out and come back and go, all right, here's what you need for stewardship. I told him, we're going to quit printing your cards.
Just put your name
Other
on
duties
it.
as assigned.
I'm just going to put Jim.
That's
all I want to put. So.
But that's a healthy team.
Oh, yeah.
We had the same thing. All of our campus pastors were hired for different roles. We never hired one for a campus pastor role that came from within, which is another conversation. Almost all of them. You can't always do that, but they came from within, and we moved them, from one thing to the next if they were the right person. If they were the wrong person, then we had to move it.
There's this unseemly part of when you let somebody go within a congregation, they all have a constituency.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to, well, you don't treat them like a Christian. You know, Christians shouldn't fire
We're
Christian.
a family.
Yeah, all that. And that's where you, I think, especially a solo pastor, if they're growing into a ministry, you got to, again, clarity is your friend.
That's right.
The clearer you are on the job description and why this person really can expand into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also say, you know, I know this is hard as a brother, as a friend, I hate it, but this isn't working.
Right.
And we'll try to help you find, I mean, our friend Dave Ramsey says, when you fire someone, treat them the way you would want to be treated if you were fired.
Yeah. Right.
Which is a good reminder. It's, you know, you don't want to be disrespectful of the person. You want to be loving, but if it's not working, it's not working.
And haven't you almost every time had the experience where you ran into that person somewhere later and they said, thank you for doing that?
Yeah.
They knew they weren't in the right role.
They knew.
It wasn't working for them either.
The other thing that we have to help pastors understand is sometimes as a servant of the church, firing is what is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the other part, forgive me, that Fred Smith said, the first person you fire makes a really important decision.
Yeah.
Because you're telling the rest of the team, there was an expectation here that wasn't met, or maybe there was inappropriate behavior, and we don't do that in the church. This is the Lord's money; these are His people, and we want staff who understand that.
Mm-hmm. And you know, when you got the bad apple, it affects everybody because everybody looks at the guy who's not producing and going, "Well, they're getting paid anyway." Your good people have alternatives. They can leave, and you're going to end up with the one bad apple, or a crate full of bad apples because you didn't make the call early on to elevate the people who were serving you and get rid of the guy who wasn't.
The guy that I talked about that was looking for a worship pastor in a small town. I said, "What are you looking for?" And you know, he's telling me what he's looking for, and I said, I'll use a nicer word, but what you're looking for is a guy who's not a jerk.
Yeah.
And that had something to do with the person who'd previously held that role.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm looking for a 6 or a 7 on the talent and a guy that's going to fit the team. Yeah. And that I thought he's got to figure it out.
Other caution or tale I've learned is that you tend to subconsciously overcompensate for the liabilities of the last guy.
Yeah. Oh, so true.
And you got to be careful.
Great word.
You got to be careful because this guy wasn't organized or he wasn't a people person. Yeah. And then you hire a people person who isn't organized, and so that's an intrinsic tripwire.
Well, I think the other thing in relation to that, we had a guy on our staff that was a paraplegic, and everybody called him Love on Wheels because he is the most loving guy you would ever meet in your life. And I had him in a small groups role, a discipleship pastor role, finally got him into pastoral care, and then we had to move some things around. He was the right guy for our church. Basically, I just needed to pay him to be out in the lobby every weekend and hug everybody. But we kept moving him around because he was the right guy for us, but his organization ability didn't work. And when I couldn't move him, then we had to move other people onto the team to make up for it. So if you got a guy that's a great people person or a great organizer, then you find the complement and you help them out that way. Another question that one of the younger guys asked me, because he knew how hard it was on me, and I know how hard it was on you guys to walk away at some point. The problem with walking away from pastoral work is when you look at the Bible for a model, it just says, and they died. So other than that, there's not a real biblical model for stepping, other than the Numbers thing, where the high priest was supposed to step away at age 50, which I don't think we give enough credence to. But another discussion. What are the things that the younger pastors can be doing now to be preparing themselves for what's going to happen later on?
First of all, get over the thing that you're telling yourself that I'll do this till I die.
Yeah.
I mean, we all said that. Yeah. What are you going to do when you retire? Oh, I'll do this till I retire. Right. No, you won't. Yeah.
No. Let's hope not.
Yeah. You won't do it well.
No. Things change. And Father Time's undefeated in this thing.
Yeah.
And so, one, you need to be preparing in all the ways that you need to be putting money aside, so that when it comes time to step away, you're not. We got friends that can't.
I know.
Because they don't have the financial support to do that.
Yeah.
And now they are trapped, and that's a tough way to go.
Yeah.
As my dad said, don't put yourself in a situation where somebody else decides your future. You want to be able to make that call when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Second, start thinking now and preparing now for what you want to do when you're done. If you want to write, if you want to build model trains, whatever it is,
right.
Start doing it now so that you can gradually build up to that. Yeah. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I stepped away, stepped away.
Yeah.
I mean, the phone stopped ringing.
Man,
the email cut. They cut your email off.
Yeah.
They do all these.
Yeah. I made them turn mine back on.
Nobody calls you. All of a sudden, you got nobody for lunch.
Right.
And, So it's a brutal reality.
But the bigger part of that was emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a way? I mean, I'm asking this question because I don't think I have an answer. But is there a way to prepare yourself emotionally for stepping away someday?
We were with Mike and I were with a group of guys we meet with frequently, and this question came up, and there were 3 or 4 of us that have retired, stepped away, and to a man, Tim, when you're marginalized, when you start talking about transition, you're marginalized immediately.
Right.
You're a lame duck.
And then when you leave, it does. I remember I always looked at my Outlook calendar every morning, you have no appointments today. It's like, wow.
It sounds great.
Well,
it sounded great 5 years before that. It sounded great.
It is great, but it's different.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would say, for me, and I don't think I have it figured out. The purpose is really the question. What's your purpose?
Absolutely.
Right. And I've always thought in decades. When you're in your 20s, let's say you're married somewhere in your mid-late 20s, your life's exciting, maybe children, your 30s, probably have a couple kids, maybe 2, 3, 4. Your life's pretty set.
Yeah.
Your 40s, you're handcuffed.
Yeah.
Your 40s and 50s, because the overhead, raising children, activities, sports,
college,
coming and going. And by your 50s, you're looking at the runway going, these are my highest earning years. Mm-hmm. And if this number of 65 or whatever is the number, it gets frightening. Mm-hmm. So to your point, I tell young pastors, you need to put 15% of your income away from day one.
Right.
And you need a good financial planner to help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as we know, over time, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You start in your 40s, it's late.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really hard to catch up. And we do have too many friends. I have pastor friends.
Oh, yeah.
We were in seminary together. They go, Easley, how are you retiring? I go, well, we did these things,
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
Well, they're swimming and they'll never retire.
Mm-hmm.
They're handcuffed. But I think the decades is important. The other thing, by the time you're in your 40s and 50s, I may not know what that hobby is in those early years, but by your 40s or 50s, you've seen the landscape. Mm-hmm. Howard Hendricks was so wonderful in so many ways. And he said, he also said, gentlemen, narrow your focus.
Right. Yeah.
Because when you're young, you're doing, all these things. You're fly fishing, you're traveling, maybe, but as you get older, you can't do everything. Mm-hmm. So find one that you really want to do and enjoy. And you might have to do several, right?
Right.
Ideally with your wife.
Boom.
If you can do something with your wife.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in God's great kindness, I'll be married to Cindy before and after children longer than when we raised children.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's my partner. And so we are very intentional. We love hanging out together. Mm-hmm. We have a great time in God's kindness. But I think I don't want to have guys in fear. I want them to have a plan.
Yeah.
And it's really pretty easy. Mm-hmm. You can't do 15, put 10 in.
Yeah.
Start somewhere, get a planner. But then as you see what the Lord does in ministry, there's probably a wiring. Have you all done the story brand thing years ago? I went through that, and it was so interesting. And we came up with 3 adjectives that described me. And I had my oldest daughter involved because I figured she knew me, well. Right. And I brought a team of about 9 people that have known me for 30 plus years. And we took the thing and said, what do y'all think of this? Kind of murder boarded it.
Right, yeah.
And they refined it. And they said, that's who you are, Michael. And it was nice I kind of knew it, but it was like, okay, they've affirmed that.
Right.
And now what do I do with those 3 things as I face this chapter?
And what do you let go of that's not in those 3 things?
Yeah.
And what do you say no to when people ask you to do something that's not in those? That was for me, it was be done, and it was a process to be done. Mm-hmm. And then I thought I was just going to kind of wait and see what came up. I had a whole lot of different options, but it's been a year and a half now. I'm starting to go back to, wait a minute, this is who I am. Right. This is what breathes life into me, and this doesn't. And I'm also in a situation where, because the church took good care of me and everything else. Well, I'm being pulled back into stuff, but I don't have to do what pays the most.
Right.
That's a beautiful place to be at this point. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can give of my time, or I can take a gig that's, not going to pay that much because I'm in that situation. Yeah. But even if I wasn't, I would still be planning that way. And I think if I'm advising anyone that's following my path, I'm like, figure out one thing that you want to do and go start doing it. Mm-hmm. Start a nonprofit, start whatever it is that you're doing on the side. And some churches and leaderships are going to have trouble with that, but I think we need to grab a hold of what are you going to go to, not what are you leaving.
Right. Yeah.
And for all of us, what you're leaving is a big deal.
Speaking of what the church may or may not have problems with, I'm a close attorney friend, and he's like broken record on this. He goes, pastors don't have employment agreements. And he goes, you need to define intellectual property.
Yes.
Right. Are those your sermons or the church sermons?
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you're working for the church, are you a work for hire? And if so, do those sermons belong to the church? And
that's the default position.
That is the default. You got to fix that if you're going to write your own books.
I think we'd all encourage them, say, no, I'm doing this for you. It's not for hire. Yeah. This is what I do. Yeah. Interesting, when I went from A to B to C, I had some challenges about taking sermons with me.
Right.
And I went back, so you're not profiting on these. You're not selling sermon tapes, making thousands of dollars. Yeah. Why would you care if we use them again somewhere? And they had to bring lawyers involved with them.
Right,
like, oh, Lord. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Forgive me, Jesus.
No, that's a great discussion. Yeah. There's a lot of practical stuff like that that you need to get professional help with.
Yes, you need. The other thing I would say is, and we've got different opinions, I had a professor say, never take an honorarium for a wedding or a funeral. And I didn't. And occasionally someone's creative and they give you a gift certificate to a restaurant or something. And, that's not like a, diet. But my friends who did take the honorariums, one in particular, any wedding, funeral, conference, he put it aside in a fund and didn't touch it.
My uncle did that.
And that paid for his kids' college.
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant. Maybe it's a vacation fund, but you don't go spend it on a dinner or curtains or a new car. You put it aside
cash. It's got a purpose.
And leave it over there. And the other thing we did, and I think the Lord really honored it, no matter where the money came from, if it was a conference or something or a gift, we always gave out of that.
Yeah.
We always gave out of it. So if we got $1,000 or something, we gave at least 10% right away.
Right.
Yeah. This wasn't planned. The Lord gave it to us. It's not mine. It's His. I want to steward it. And I think your generosity not only helps you trust the Lord, but it will teach your congregation.
Yeah. So. The other thing is, we talk about what the pastor's going to do and this kind of stuff. Jeannie and I have a special needs granddaughter. Mm-hmm. And when I sat down with Jeannie and said, okay, what do you want to do? Her answer to me was, I want to be 10 minutes from Rowan.
Yep.
Huh.
Okay. All right. That's what I
want. That answers a whole lot of questions.
You're not retiring in Colorado.
I'm not retiring in Colorado. I'm not going to go have a house on the beach.
Yeah.
We're going to be 10. And so we have intentionally kept our life open. We don't travel much. We don't and don't hear this.
It's not a hardship.
This is not a hardship.
It's a choice.
No, I'm in the same boat.
So that whenever Craig and Nan call us, the answer is yes.
Yeah. And that's what we're supposed to be about.
And if you say, hey, I want to tell you about, Rowan cracking jokes and cutting up, and we laugh the whole time with her and her brother Walker and all that. But that became, when she was born, and you begin to understand the stress on Craig and Nan that never goes away.
Right.
24/7.
For him to come over to our house and bring the kids, and for him to fall asleep on the couch, and us look at him like, okay, we don't worry about it. We got the kids. You just,
And I guess maybe that could be kind of the close to the thing. You are a child of God. You are a child of God. You are a human being. You are a husband, a wife, a son, daughter. I mean, read Mike's book about his journeys with his mom.
Coffee with Mom.
Coffee with Mom is so great. I mean, there's a whole lot to your life that is not wrapped up in ministry. And we have the tendency,
everything's
to get
ministry.
in this. It's everything's ministry, and wait, let me, my kid did something funny. Let me write that down to make a good sermon illustration. You got to be who you are, and someday it's going to be over. And it needs to be over.
It needs to be for the sake of the church.
For the sake of the church,
over.
You need to get out of there and let somebody else do it. So the key thing from that question, I think, was to be planning and preparing a lot sooner than you thought you were going to, because I really didn't. We took care of finances, but thinking ahead it didn't really matter.
And don't stress about it. Don't stress about it. It's like anything in life. It's like a mortgage. It's just going to be monthly. Just get into a rhythm. Annually sit with your financial guys and say, where are we and where are we? I'm shocked at the number of pastors and staff that have no financial plan. And I've tried to help them over the years, and they're like, it's too much. It's too much. Like, what are you going to do? Work at Walmart or Costco that's
pretty
not
much
bad.
But
I don't want to do that.
No, I don't want to have to.
Exactly.
If I want to work at Costco, then that's my
I can drive Uber if I want to.
Ooh,
and I don't.
I don't.
So we'll close on that note. Thanks for being here with us.
Moral of the story: don't drive Uber.
Nah.
Retirement plan. Lord.
Thanks for tuning in to the Engaged Church Network podcast. We exist to train healthy and skilled leaders for congregations throughout Middle Tennessee. If today's episode helped you, share it with a fellow leader. And don't forget to visit engagedchurchnetwork.com for more ways to grow.